Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. And we'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:02.
Sorry, you keep saying you're gonna retire.
7:02. We're calling the meeting to order this evening at 7:02. I would love to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unsurrendered and traditional territory of the Koshnimshan Smalyak speaking people. And as always, I would love to offer and share my deep gratitude that I am able to live and learn and grow on this incredible part of the world. And I really thank the Tsimshian people for so generously sharing protocol and culture and teachings with me and our district. So yeah. And I would also love to introduce Enrique Vasqua, who is our new Secretary Treasurer, and I'm sorry I didn't do this at the last meeting. So welcome and thank you so much, Enrique. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. And another announcement I would love to share is that the junior and senior volleyball girls have won their provincial zones and they're headed to the provincial championships.
Good going.
And I think one more thing I'd love to share is that Lisa Bear has been appointed the Minister of Education and Childcare as of today, is my understanding.
Wow.
So thank you for that. And I would love to call for an adoption of the agenda. Thank you. A seconder? Thank you, Trustee Sanchez. And all in favor? So moved. And now I would love to pass this on to our Superintendent, Andrew Samuel, to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight we have from Pacific Coast School, we have Christine Danrod, and I know we have Tanisha Taylor and
No, we
No.
actually have two different students. We have Sydney Wick and Jessica Pollock.
thank you.
So they are here if you have any questions. And I actually, thank you for having us. So my name is Christine Danrock and I'm the Vice Principal of Pacific Coast School. I just wanted to give you some highlights of what we've been doing at Pacific Coast. It'll come in a few minutes. One of the things students have been working on is a quilt with Miss Rice. So I'm gonna pass it around, but Sydney worked on this too. And this is actually for one of our staff members who I won't mention. But she's talking about retirement, so this is her retirement quilt. They're pretty. And one thing to say about this, some of our students have never quilted before. I have never quilted before, but Miss Rice made them take out their stitches. Am I saying that right? If the stitches weren't perfect, the student had to redo it. So
Good for her.
Sydney can talk to that maybe a little bit, so you can pass it around if you want to.
It's beautiful.
And it's obviously not finished, but that's a little item. And another piece of art, Ms. Rice has been doing a lot of creation. She's been making armbands for our students and they've been using their press. So this one's half finished, but they wrap it around their wrist when they're done and they button it up and they can, it can be a bit of regalia for them. So
That's beautiful.
I'll pass that around. And so some of the things I wanted to talk about that we're working on at Pacific Coast School is we're working really hard on skill building. We've introduced this year, last year we did 6-week terms. This year we're doing 10-week terms and I think they've been pretty successful. So we just finished a 10-week term. We've just gone into a new term and students are taking right now science, math, art, and PE and foods. We're working really hard on our attendance, self-advocating. We have a lot of students who are accessing child and youth mental health, social workers, MCFD. So I'm really encouraging them to come forward and talk about what they need. We're working on resilience, kindness, and finding our strengths. Some of the stretches for our students is we have a lot of food insecurity, housing insecurity, addictions, trauma, and crisis. So just working on that with our stretches, using resources, using the community. That's just some of the things our students face. what we experience at school is being kind, fresh starts. Every day is a new beginning, new start. We have lots of support. I have a fantastic staff. We brought in a lot of food, clothing, consistency, and fun. Fun, right?
No pressure.
We hosted a harvest lunch with family and friends and invited some guests from the school district. It was all done with Miss Rice, our students. They cooked everything. It was amazing. We obviously just had Halloween. We did a lot of pumpkin carving. We dressed up, so we're super proud of our harvest lunch. We learn about Indigenous culture every day. One of the highlights last year was going Ulikin fishing. We went with the staff from Wapsigaget. The students still talk about it. I talk about it. It was amazing. And so we hope to do that again this year. Plus, we're doing other events. So, did you both go last year?
I bit the head.
Oh, yes. Jessica can talk about that. Talk about that really quickly.
Oh, I bit the head off the Ulikin because, I don't know, somebody.
I think it's a tradition. First Ulikin you catch, you bite the head off. So
Apparently.
I did not do it, but maybe this year I will. We are creating a lifeline project. We just got a $30,000 grant
Whoa.
from the Kane Aboriginal Community Society. So we're gonna be using that for technology. We're gonna order 20 laptops for food and emergency clothing.
Nice.
So we're very, very thankful. We're taking the curriculum outdoors. So this happened in September. And we went out with the hatchery and I believe they cut open salmon and let the eggs out. So the students went into the river, they helped the hatchery, they loved it. So,
And the eggs are now currently in all the schools in Dublin as well.
yeah, so now we're growing salmon.
Can I ask how, like, are you in aquariums? Like, how are you doing it?
Yeah, we have them in aquariums and then the hatchery comes in every week to check on them. So, and right now they're just closed and we don't know, but we've done it, I think, for 5 years.
Nice.
So,
Part of the Stream to Sea program, so it's available in all schools. And
Public
resources
library,
are,
right?
pardon?
Public library as well.
Yeah, they will be. The hatchery is definitely included in the library and the school out in Lac-Willam's as well.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, and resources are available in French and English.
Thank you.
Always nice.
So Chris Thompson is another teacher at our school and he's really big on working with the hatchery, getting outside, doing exciting things. So it's super nice to see them do that. So I'm gonna try and get this right. Cindy's gonna help me. But Chris likes to take his learning into the town. So our students made inclimeters, right? And they measured the Highliner in and they had to take into account their own height. And so they used a straw, a penny, and string.
Yep.
Right? And then Sydney can let you know how big the Highliner is.
The Highliner is 144 feet.
Nice. You guys did a good
So they had to figure it all out. So that was exciting.
And you in a straw.
Penny,
And
straw,
string.
and string.
It's very cool.
Yeah. And just to talk about textiles again, we're just entering into the foods program right now, but they are creating tons of stuff. They're doing art, painting, making their own quilts. It's just nonstop in there. And we have both male and female students doing the textiles. Everyone's excited. So yeah, just super pumped about our projects. I think that's it. So I don't know if you have any questions for Sydney and Jessica, just about their experience at PCS, but
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Well, I was at Charles Hayes when I started grade 9 and going on into grade 10, I had a lot of personal problems. So I took a little bit of a break and then I tried doing online and that didn't work out. So I failed a couple classes and then I went into PCS and I don't know, I really like it there. I didn't realize how much support I was getting until I started thinking about it, but they helped me catch up and I'm on the road to grad this year.
That is Thank you. And how about you, darling?
I was in Charles Hayes, throughout grade 10. In February, some personal problems went on in my life and I switched to online school, which didn't work for me at all. When I switched to PCS, I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it, but now that I'm there, I like it because there's enough support for me to be able to finish all my schoolwork and get good grades, but still being able to prioritize my mental well-being.
That's
Awesome.
And I can see,
Thank
I
you.
can see that in both your eyes, so something is good happening.
Any questions online? Comments? All right, you guys will do.
Awesome work.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for coming. Oh, please, trustee Pucci?
So, you know what, thank you very much. So, and ladies, I'm sorry to hear that the online didn't work I'm wondering if there's a message that if you would help or suggest to your principal and vice principal teachers of maybe trying to make PCS the first choice opposed to, to your colleagues, opposed to the online version, as it seems like you've found success in that, and that the struggle is real with different individuals. And I really believe that I think that the support, that interaction face to face is better than online. And so I hope that we can continue that work and you can advocate to other students that are struggling that PCS is a real good option. But thank you very, very much for coming.
You guys need the social aspect of things. And I mean, online's great if you're that type of person, but you still need that interaction with your peers, right? And I know that she is an awesome leader.
Thank you. Roberta reminded me, we have a Indigenous youth group at PCS. And right now we're in the process of doing a survey, so we're hoping to finish that up this week. And the surveys around mental health supports, what they want to see within the school, and addiction. So talking about addictions and addiction support. So I think the information we get from that survey will be really beneficial.
It's interesting, and
Please go ahead.
no, I was just saying that, last Wednesday, there was a group from PR and PR at Friendship House. And they were doing beading.
Cedar weaving.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and the first week they didn't come, but last Wednesday, because I go there too. And it's really interesting, the work that they were doing. Awesome, and I think they're coming back on next Wednesday too.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
And they really enjoyed it, it's, learning about their own culture there too.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you so much for sharing what you're learning. Thank you so much for sharing how PCS has impacted you. Also, Christine, thank you so much for sharing the new format
Yeah.
and how
great.
that really seems to be leading to success.
Mhm.
And it's really, I know you both, I've known you both forever, and it's really awesome to see you here.
Okay.
And thank you so much for sharing you and your journey with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us. We're happy to come back.
Yay.
Yes, we have 9 grads this year. Small grad class, but 9 is good.
9 is good.
I'll leave this too. if You need it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye.
So we have approval of the minutes of the board, 3.1, the open board meeting held on October 15th. Trustee Via, a seconder. Trustee Dalton, thank you. And any questions regarding that have come up out of the minutes? I just have 6.1.3.1, the new spaces daycare update. We'll be bringing forward the contract for renewal for the Discovery Childcare Facility. So that should be coming forward, is my understanding, so that we don't lose track of that item.
Correct, Madam Chair, at
What?
the December meeting, we will
Okay.
present.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then 7.1, also to keep on track, trustees would like to see how we are tracking governance regarding spending. that came out of the meeting
Yes.
minutes as well, so just to keep those two at front of mind. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. 3.2, the open board meeting held on November 5th. Motion to accept the minutes. Trustee Meyer, seconded trustee Pucci. Any questions? All in favor? Great.
Aye.
So, thank you. Necessity of the closed meeting and agenda. Choose of the board.
I make a motion 4.1 through 4.9.
Wonderful. Seconder? Trustee
Pucci.
Pucci. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Correspondence addressed to the board. Is this anything? Great. We have none. And 5.2 copy to the board. We have none. Superintendent of Schools report 6.1, Andrew Samuel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, we have our field trips on page 11. And knowing that you pre-read all of these, I would add that we have number 11, as it is out of the province, it does require a board motion for approval. There's a historical reason for it, why we have the board approved trips outside of Canada.
So not outside of the province, outside of Canada.
Outside of Canada.
Outside of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in a regulation.
Did I say
policy.
province?
Yes.
Oh,
No, just for clarity. First.
outside of Canada, correct.
Well, there's both
I'll make
outside
that
province
motion and
and
then
outside.
questions.
And
Canada.
we could.
There's
yeah.
one is Quebec, the other one is Ireland.
So
That's right.
just for clarity, outside of country is all that the board needs to vote on, correct?
No, also
No.
out of province.
Out of province,
Province.
out of province, out of country.
Thank you.
I'll
So
make that motion.
Trustee Pucci will second.
I'll make the motion to approve the trip to Ireland, Scotland, and England.
Yes.
And seconded trustee Pucci?
Correct.
Follow up with a question.
Yes, please.
So Charles Hayes, what age range are we talking here?
It's grade 11.
Grade 11, correct.
Where does it say grade 11?
In the middle where it says grade.
Oh, sorry.
Good.
I'm really getting, I gotta get glasses changed out, obviously. Okay, no, that's fine.
And the request is on the flip side as well.
Yeah, I have it.
Trustee Meyer?
I'm just wondering, do we normally have big international trips like this that happen? Like, it's a school trip, but it happens in the summer. It's only happening for one day of school. So how does that work for like insurance, liability, all of that jazz?
School trip. The school trip,
Yeah,
it's
still-
under the auspice of us.
Madam Chair, it's still, because it does start during school time and it is organized with school staff, it's considered a school trip.
Any further questions? I would ask, any concerns that we could have regarding this, superintendent?
Do we have concerns?
Yes.
No, not for where they're going. Madam Chair, our concern, if the trip were to, we did check, there are no known travel advisories. But normally we do check at this time, we don't know what would be happening. Because I was involved in historically when we were right at the start of a pandemic and we were approving, then calling a board meeting the next day to unapprove. And then there were problems with insurance companies and we, like we've learned from those lessons that, we have to be cautious because it is our students. And yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. And there was another request for one out of province, is that correct?
Yeah, the question, and this is not to get political, Madam Chair, but a trip to Quebec, because it's out of province, we often do ask for approval. because it means the board is aware that the trip is happening. So even if the board doesn't want to pass a motion, it's the superintendent has the authority to approve it. And, you know, obviously due diligence, is there insurance, et cetera, and that's important. Is there supervision?
Wishes of the board?
Of course, I'm all in favor.
Are you requesting a motion at this time?
Madam Chair, I do have to check policy again because I want to be clear. I would say
Yes,
it
it
does
is
not
under
hurt to have a
province, it
motion.
has to have a
Yes, you are.
motion
So
from the
is it
board.
actually in there?
Assistant superintendent check the policy.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and
Thank
the
you.
province
Thank
board
you,
needs to
Assistant
approve it.
Superintendent.
So I put that motion trustee.
I
Mike,
certainly am.
Maria, come on, you should know that. It's to Quebec.
We have,
Whether they're out of province or out of Canada,
Yeah.
has to be.
great, and we have,
I'll second it.
thank you, trustee Beal. Any questions?
Yes,
Please.
can I go?
We might be looking for a female chaperone, so. I'll
Just,
keep you posted.
just throw it there. Could be a conflict, but I'm
Right.
asking anyway.
And that could be a parent too, right?
Very much so.
Right.
Bert just put her hand up, she's going.
And that could be a parent too, right?
Oh, yes,
Yes,
yeah, we're
thank
actually
you.
meeting with parents tomorrow,
Right.
as an information session, and I'll probably be asking for
Very nice.
anyone who might be interested in going as a chaperone.
This is not anything to do with me at all, but I love to see parents that would never get this opportunity to be given
Amen.
the opportunity to go.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Hi.
Thank you. So moved.
Thank you. Madam Chair, next, call on Assistant Superintendent Pond to provide the enrollment statistics and in your package is a visual.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Madam Chair and Superintendent. Yeah, so our visual shows that our enrollment is down this year and starting to move up. We have 1,113 students as of September 30th. At October 31st, 1,120 students. So 62% of those students are Indigenous. Yeah. That's where we're at right now. Do you?
Any questions regarding this graph?
No.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
I have a question. Did you say 1,813?
1,000, sorry, I actually read the Indigenous student count.
Okay, I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
1,818 currently, or at October 31st. 1,120 of those are Indigenous students.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Ooh.
Yeah, scared you. You're paying attention, that's good. You.
Thank you. We'll get back to Sandy for some more information. Events going on in our schools, as you know, there are a million events and, like the presentation you had today from PCS students. I did attend their harvest dinner. It was wonderful and, I'm looking forward to their, winter celebration as well. Charles Hayes cross-country team competed in the provincial championships and they represented themselves well, the school and our community with tremendous pride. Boys soccer team won the zone championships and they're currently attending the provincial championships in Burnaby. And I think you heard about the junior and senior girls volleyball teams have been playing very well and senior girls are heading to provincials. Did they win?
Junior and seniors are
Junior
heading
and
to
senior.
provincials.
Okay. And then we have some artists, Willie White, Donna Kramer, and Anthony Hunt presented on the local Chilkat weaving techniques in Miss Clifton's First Nations art class.
Nice.
Very cool.
Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Aero Trading came to help Miss Layton and Miss Cooper's food classes bake a salmon lunch for the school. The note is that the DFO continually donates fish to the Food Sovereignty Program at Charles.
Very nice.
Conrad, members of the local RCMP detachment came to do a safety presentation with a focus on certainly at Halloween time. After the presentation, classes were invited to come and paint the cruiser. And I believe there, on social media, there was a lot of really great pictures about that. I wanted to join in, but they wouldn't let me use eggs. Field trip to the museum and to the skating rink, and then next week, of course, we have Marlene Clifton is coming. So they'll be doing drumming and they have a salmon social.
No, Marlene's coming up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gotta go see that.
Roosevelt Breakfast Club of Canada, school-wide breakfast with Prince Rupert Port Authority volunteers will be on December 3rd. Spirit Day is November 28th. They're drumming with Marlene on November 29th, and there's a badminton play day on November 30th.
Wow.
Lahane, they get to have Marlene on November 25th for drumming, and early primary literacy collaboration will be on November 18th. Ms. Trethui's science class students have been learning about biomes and recently held a showcase to display and discuss their projects. And the FSAs have been completed. Another thing to add is Pine Ridge Elementary, they're drumming on November 26th. They have a cardboard challenge, and the challenge this year is a mini city, and that's on November 29th, if you can watch. Badminton tournament at the Civic Center on November 30th, and they're doing some activities with the Port of Prince Rupert on November, well, they've already had them on November 8th and 15th. Many of our schools had celebrations, not celebrations, but honoring of National Indigenous Veterans Day and Remembrance Day. And I think some of you were in attendance. And there's also a lot of our schools, we've been telling them about, as you know, we have a fair number of non-certified teachers. And so UNBC, I can't remember if I announced it, UNBC is going to be offering a teacher training program with a cohort here in Prince Rupert. And that's very exciting. So
Starting when?
starting next September.
September?
So you have to get your applications in like very, very quickly and make up any credits that you might need. So we have brochures at the board office and new ones are coming. The ones at the board office don't identify Prince Rupert as the location. It's got Quesnel and Terrace, but they are going to be reprinting them with Prince Rupert's been added. And last, not last, but I have the early learning update that Ms. Kobza has sent in. So she's been working on the before and after school care program for École Roosevelt Park Community School. And the startup for that is suggested to be September of 2025. There's a lot of inspections have to be done and getting it ready. And this is to support the additional, this additional program to what we're already offering at two other schools is to support families who are on the long wait list at the Westview Child Care Center for before and after school childcare. The wait lists, as many of you know, are massive. And Conrad Street Elementary, strengthening early years to kindergarten transitions team met last week to plan some events to invite pre-kindergarten students into school earlier in the year. The school will invite families to two events before the winter break: Play in the K and Family Craft Night. This is another early learning initiative funded by the Ministry of Education and Childcare. The district is supporting the addition of two more classes this year to offer the Roots of Empathy program in two elementary schools. In total, 5 classes will be participating in the Roots of Empathy this year, 3 at Conrad Elementary School and 2 at École Roosevelt Park Community School. This program supports our mandate as a school district to support children in our community ages 0 to 19 years of age.
I have a question.
Yes,
Is it offering French as well?
no.
Neither is mom. No.
Thank you.
I've had 2 kids that were Roots of Empathy babies, and I'd love to share what that's like. And if you have any questions about it.
No, I'm well versed. Thank you.
Yeah, and just there was a note here, independent research since 2000 has proven the Roots of Empathy program reduced levels of aggression and bullying in children and increase their pro-social behaviors such as sharing, caring, and inclusion. And as you know, these are big issues for us in our district, and this is how it's an attempt to start addressing these issues.
Thank you, Andrew.
Do you have any data to share? No.
I'm sharing it later.
Later,
Yes,
okay.
Yes, but thank you.
And next on our list is Roberta Zerza for presenting on the Indigenous Education Council.
Council and department, have a long list, so I'm gonna talk really quick, like I am doing an auction.
We got lots of time.
Okay, and no correspondence, that helps. Indigenous Ed Department updates. First I'll talk about language, and it's not necessarily the language program that's happening in the schools, but it's a language that happens all behind the curtains and the scenes and everything that kind of happens so we can keep our language going in our schools, because that's our head office is at Top City for that. So we have our fluent speakers, linguists, and our language coordinator doing ongoing work with archiving, editing, digitizing, recording. We have a signage project that's huge. We brought it on a year and a half ago, and it's way bigger than we anticipated. But it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be, available for the community to see and enjoy and learn from, and opportunities for ongoing learning, because it can grow into other resources. The language authority also, we have a lot of translations requests and collaboration and projects, and that takes a lot of time. So we really have to prioritize what is our priority in that. But I mean, that's a good problem to have. We have our not new, like 10 years old, dictionary recordings, editing and uploading, and that takes a lot of time, and recording and getting the fluent speakers to record words, and sometimes it's 40 to 50 words a day, and so they're working hard at that. But also the longer part is editing and uploading those into our online dictionary. We have 12 years of binder curriculum that we've had for many years in our district that the Smelling teachers use as guidelines. It's kind of like the curriculum, but we don't call it curriculum because it's year 1, year 2, year 3. It's not necessarily connected to a grade. So we're finished reviewing all of those binders and editing with the Smelling, but now we're looking at putting it into a format that kind of works with our digitization, and that takes a lot of time. Debbie and I are graciously invited. Debbie Lake Stevens, she's still fully involved in our language authority in our grant work. We were invited to the Office of the Commissioner of Indigenous Languages, October 16th and 17th, that happened in Richmond this year. It was a significant gathering, a continuation of last year's meeting that was happening in August. And this is to celebrate, share, advocate Indigenous languages across Canada. It was amazing to participate in meaningful dialogue. And we are very proud and excited to be invited and being a part of that dialogue. Almost like a chair at the big seat table. And IEC meeting, we had our first Indigenous Education Council meeting on October 9th. So this was with local rights holders to abide by follow the new Bill 40. It went great. There was a lot of sharing, a lot of updates, talking about the Bill 40 and what that entails, which includes school of choice and distinctions-based approach. LEA review, budget review, and started to look at terms of reference, just to review our old terms of reference, looking at the model terms of reference and how we can kind of combine those two that works best for us here. And our next meeting will most likely be January or February 2025 to continue the work on the new terms of reference. Indigenous education happening in a school district. Christine shared a little bit about how we're supporting PCS. So Charles Hayes PCS has Indigenous focused courses for the grad requirement. So we're doing a lot of support for that, including in service for those teachers. and planning. We have our local author, Kim Spencer, who lives here now, so we're doing collaborative work and planning with her. And school visits are starting, happening with that. Lori Berger is leading decolonizing school libraries while continuing that over the last few years. Her and Sandy started that a few years ago. And that's continuing with a huge resource grant that Lori is working on to get Indigenous authentic resources for each of our libraries, and how we're gonna decolonize that and how we're gonna showcase and share that out in wonderful ways with staff and community. Changing possibilities for young children. We just had our third one this evening. And that includes Strong Start educators, teachers and community members. And it's always great learning for all, sharing about our wonder child in the classroom. Student leadership group, Christine shared, PCS has a student leadership group led by Lori Berger and Lucy Trimble. And there's also a group at Charles Hayes, and they wanted to call themselves matriarchs. And Lucy is also leading one at the middle school to work on student leadership, voice, culture, healing, connecting to the land, that kind of learning, and healthy relationships, but also discussing addictions and yeah, those kind of important stuff. Seasonal teachings of Tsimshian people are still continuing in the district. We're kind of taking a different approach, meeting with educators and collaborating and co-teaching in different classrooms in the schools. But the meaningful collaboration where everybody's learning together and delivering the content and the learning continues with very appropriate assessment practices from the land. That is a really important work. It's a lot of work, but it's important work. Supporting inquiries at schools connected to literacy numeracy initiatives. This is kind of getting off the ground again, and we're just kind of meeting with that and excited about how that's going to look, and schools are on board for that. And ending with forest drumming with Marlene next week.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Full agenda.
I know.
Full
I know a lot
agenda.
of those things, but yeah.
Questions for the board? I actually just want to, so now with the new council, you're just setting up the terms and reference like in the next couple of months?
Yeah, when I inquire about that with Ministry of Indigenous Education, they said there's no deadline on that, so we just really want to take our time with it, right? So that way we can make it fit for where we are. Our rights holders have always been part of our AVID council, and they've been the voting council members, so we're not far from what the provincial ministry's goal is, so it's just kind of a smaller group, and yeah, and we'll do some invites when our next meeting from the board, and so we can kind of share in updates and continue to work on the terms of our friendship.
Nice.
And I do believe that when we were working with Gordon from BCSTA, there was appetite for the board to invite as well. And so to look at collaboratively how we can do work.
Thanks for sharing all that. That's great.
Thank
Very
you, Berta.
positive, very positive information.
And Madam Chair, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Secretary Treasurer's report on leap day.
Can you hear me?
You bet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 14, you have the financial information we will review tonight. First of all, I would like to thank our Director of Finance, Brittany, for creating this new financial report that shows the operating revenues and expenses of the school district. One of the purposes of using this new financial statement is to understand the full picture of the monthly financial performance of the operating funds of the school district. I understand that previously it was provided just the portion of the expenses and not the revenues. So again, this new presentation gives a better understanding of what is the financial situation of the school district. If you don't mind, let me explain its layout. So hopefully, in future reviews, it's going to be easier to follow up on this report. So if you are looking at the statement, in the top part, you will see the revenue section followed by the expense section. And at the very bottom, you will find the surplus or deficit at the end of the period. From left to right, the second column shows the year-to-date budget. The report we're reviewing today shows the results from July 1st to October 31st. And then the third column shows the actual results for the aforementioned period. The fourth column shows the variance between actuals and budget figures. Favorable numbers are positive and unfavorable are the ones in brackets. The fifth column shows the percentage of the variance when compared to budget. And the last column shows the preliminary annual budget figures. Now, looking at the year-to-date budget figures, we expect total revenues of 6.375 million, but actual revenues were 6.497 million, which are 121,000 higher than expected. Majority of such positive variance comes from interest income generated from money received from the new daycare funding received upfront. In the expense section, we can see that year-to-date budget estimated at 6.882 million in expenses. However, actual expenses were 6.806 million. Therefore, we ended up with 75,750 better than expected. Overall, the deficit at the end of the period was $197,188 better than expected. So hopefully this gives an idea of what is the financial situation at the end of the period for the school district. So I don't know if there is any questions.
Yes, any questions? Not seeing any. Thank you so much for this report. It is very beneficial.
Thank you.
So that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
And now you get to share 7.2, the operations department report.
Either one.
Right, this would be either Enrique or if, I'm not sure, Enrique, if you're passing this to Brittany.
Yes, if Brittany can mention or describe something about it. Honestly, I have not had a chance to talk to James about the information provided.
Wonderful.
Apologies for that, but
You are so fine. Wonderful. Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may, Brittany did text me that her connection is not stable. I see she's there now, but apparently there's a windstorm where she is.
No.
Hi, I'm
don't-
here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize if I do disconnect. It did disconnect briefly a little bit ago, but I'm here now. Yeah, so I will open it up for any questions if there is anything on the operations department report.
Not seeing any. Thank you very much. Thank you. And then 7.3.
I will open it up for any questions on the IT report.
Any questions? Great, not seeing any. Thank you very much. We can now move on to committee reports, 8.1. Anything to share there, trustee Beal, or has it all been covered?
Actually, the chair now is Christy.
Oh, thank you.
It's all been covered.
Wonderful, thank you. The framework for enhanced student learning, we haven't met, and my understanding is that Ms. Pond is going to share some data with us.
Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair. Yeah, the data that we've included in the package today is all about literacy. And so I've just got some things to share with you, and then if you have any questions for me. So, this data connects to the priority in our strategic plan around equity. And the data that the ministry collects and shares with us is our FSA data. And since COVID, if you look at the grade 4 and the grade 7 data that's here on the next page, you can see that our you can't see, I'm going to tell you that our participation rate has actually decreased. We used to be one of the districts that had very high participation rate, and the ministry always wondered how we were doing it, and they would be phoning us to figure it out. And it's because our principals worked really, really hard at it, at getting the kids to do the assessments. We are seeing downward trends, or we have seen downward trends in achievement province-wide, as you can see, and also in our district. We are finding province-wide and in the district for the grade 7s and for the grade 10 literacy assessments that we're starting to trend up a little bit, which is good news, but we're still well below the provincial average, which is concerning for us. You can also see that the data shows all students, Indigenous students, students on reserve, children and youth in care, and students with designation. So you have to kind of pay attention to what's going on there. And just another piece around the FSAs. Our students have written them already. Our grades 4s and 7s have written the FSAs, and a team of markers marked those FSAs this weekend. And what they noticed was that the grade 4s were not doing as well as the grade 7s were doing, which is not surprising since our grade 4s are the little people that were in kindergarten during COVID. And so we know that they've missed a lot of learning. And so we're trying to support them as best we can. And we'll continue to do that. We will be getting the collated data from the ministry on those assessments in spring 2025. Then you'll notice at the back, I've got some local data on literacy. So one of the things that we've been working on is a K-3 literacy strategy. And right now we have all of our grade 3 students. We're assessing them with the same core phonics survey so that our data we're comparing apples to apples. We've had different ways that we were collecting that data in the past. So I've just showed this past year data where we had in grade 3, 43% of the students are at grade level or exceeding, and 57 are at developing or extending. So this is an area that we're working hard on in terms of some of the strategies for teaching reading. We've gone back to making sure that students know their letter sound assessments. And you can see on the next page with our kindergarten students, we've got 2 years of data where we've used the core phonics data to assess where our kindergarten students are at with their letter names, the uppercase, lowercase, and their consonant sounds. Because what we know is our students, the first language they hear is oral language. So it's the sounds that matter, not what's written on a page. And so if they don't understand how the sounds connect to what's on the page, they're lost. And so we're collecting this data to show us where these little people are at as they enter And so you can see the data there that it's not perfect. But that gives us an understanding of who's going to need support. You know, and how to differentiate the learning for the students moving forward. Yeah, any questions? Can anyone
It's
like have
awesome,
about that?
Sandy. It's paints a very clear picture where we're going. Thank you for this. And again, we can't say it enough. COVID really had an impact on the little people.
Yeah.
And so we need to be able to support the little people that were in that transitional part of schools shutting down, not having that social aspect in their life and the whole follow-ups, right? So, and I'm glad to see that, you know, we're tracking this because that makes a difference in how you educate your teachers, right? Because you're educating your teachers. This is where we're going with the plan, right? So thank you, guys. Thank you.
I have a question, just looking at this data, just if I'm reading this correctly, emerging and extending are pretty close
Yeah.
and they're on separate ends of the spectrum, correct? So that to me is a huge curiosity. And then another curiosity for me is, what does that look like in the classroom when you have some, you know, a good amount of, a large amount are emerging and a large amount are extending to ensure that you're supporting all of those learners at such a huge spectrum.
It is.
So those are some curiosities I have.
Yeah, and so I could just suggest that some of the resources that we use would help with that. And also, we know that what we're doing for all students benefits every student. So the ones that are extending benefit from the instruction that they hear for the ones that are emerging, because there might be pieces that they're still missing too, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, please, trustee Meyer.
I just had a question on the kindergarten literacy data for the 2 years. Is that taken at the end of the school year, at the middle, at the beginning? When is that data being collected?
We collect the data in the beginning, the middle, and the end, so this is the end.
This one's
At the beginning, it doesn't look good at all.
I was
I'll
gonna
say
say
that.
that wouldn't look good at all.
The beginning is very, it's
I was
like,
gonna say, these kids are rock stars. Okay, so this is the end data of the last 2 years of kindergarten classes.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Pretty good. And I could add too that this data is in our annual enhancing student learning report, which is online. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So this information is found on the report that is online.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you, Adrian. 8.3 Provincial Council, trustee Horn, who isn't present, hasn't sent me any notes. Did he share any with you, trustee Sanchez? Or PC Council?
I wasn't there, sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine. And then Policy Committee. I am just going to read the notes that he sent along as I wasn't not at that meeting. So there were no changes recommended from stakeholders or from committee discussions. So for the policies for approval, if you are,
I'll make the motion.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion that we approve 5.3.10 volunteer policy. 6.1.10 I guess, vision, mission, and foundational principle policy. And finally, 6.1.30 role of the board policy.
And a seconder for that motion, trustee Dalton, thank you. Any questions? All in favor? So moved, thank you. And then he did share that,
You know, sorry, Chair, may I just put a thank you to all the participants in the policy working group, because it is a very, very onerous task to review 4 or 5 policies or 3 policies over 30 days, and they don't generally get the full 30 days to review it. The whole team that does this is doing an amazing job of being able to put 3 or 4 of these together in the windows that we're asking them to do. I have to say, thank you to that team that's
Yeah.
working hard. It's not easy work. People may think that, oh, you just read it once or twice. No, there's a lot of connotation, a lot of thought that goes into, is it open-ended, is it closed, or what might come up. So I just want to thank the teams we're not glazing over these things. These are significant pieces of policy.
Thank you. And then can I pass this along to you again, trustee?
Of course, I'd like to make a motion to send policies 8.4.3.17220 purchasing tendering policy and 8.4327410 audit service policy out to the stakeholders for
Yes.
review and comment.
And a seconder for that motion? Trustee Sanchez, thank you. Any questions?
I just have a comment. I'm
Please.
glad that we've reviewed the audit service policy because we haven't done that for a while. So it's nice to see that, but it's an open and I assume it's open-ended. Either party can give 30 days notice or 90 days notice to okay, thanks.
And all in favor? Great, so thank you. And then I would like to share the policy committee what trustee Horn and I have discussed. That we will be creating a new schedule of policies moving on from December until the end of the year. As we will be incorporating the recommendations from KPMG to prioritize the policies that were shared by them. That should become our priority for the next 6 months. So we really want to follow that map that we were given. So a new schedule will be coming out. And also, we will be meeting and having a longer policy meeting as we will be meeting during the day, and it will be for a full hour, if not longer. We're going to start with an hour to really look at policy, and then regulations will also be posted so that we can cross-reference and make sure that everything is covered. And also a new schedule will be coming out, and what we'll be doing is backtracking policy because it was shared with us that we aren't dating all of the times that we're reviewing our policies, even though if you go through all of our meeting minutes, you'll see that we did. So a schedule will be coming out, and what that will look like is at the end of September, we will put in the dates, what policies were reviewed, then the end of October, so every year there will actually be a schedule that shows the year and the timestamp moving forward of what policies were reviewed, so that we know that even though no changes were made, so there's no date on them, they were reviewed as per this schedule. Any questions regarding that? Wonderful. Our goal is not to put more work on staff. Our goal is to put more work on us. Thanks. That is all for policy. And District Technology Steering Committee, could you meet? Wonderful, thank you. Number 9, old business. Superintendent Samuel.
No, there's no,
Number 10, new business.
there's no new business.
All right. And for information items, 11.1 Professional Development Day for our district is November 19th. We are traveling for the academy, which is this week. Sorry.
November 20th.
Oh, yeah, that's today. Sorry.
Yeah.
My
My
apologies.
Yeah.
It's not. It is
It's
Friday.
not today,
November
it's Friday.
22nd.
That's my mistake.
That's fine. And then trustee academy is this week. 11.3, the Board of Education meeting is December 17th. And that is a week early because of winter break.
Yep.
And then winter break 11.4 is December 23rd to January 3rd. And this is not part of district business, but I do want to share that Winterfest is the 7th and 8th of December. And then we have 10-minute question and answer period.
Nothing from me.
Going once, going twice. And a final call for question and answer. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. This meeting is adjourned, and I will remind the trustees on the call, I believe will be joining back on the other line. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.